All right, so we're diving deep today, ready to get into it.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Perfect. So you're all fired up about entrepreneurship and building a personal brand, we hear ya. And you want to break down some Gary Vaynerchuk, specifically excerpts from his book, Crushing It.
Sounds like a plan.
Great. So we're going to be diving into his insights on influencer marketing, conquering those entrepreneurial fears, and looking at some inspiring stories from folks who took his advice and totally crushed it.
I think what's really interesting is how Vaynerchuk, he doesn't just talk about personal branding as a, good idea. He argues it's, essential now.
Okay, so why is personal branding so crucial now? What's different from when he wrote his first book back in 2009?
He points to this big shift from traditional media to online content, especially with, younger audiences. And he's got some stats to back it up, too. YouTube's daily viewership. It's almost at TV levels now. People are spending a ton of time on Facebook apps.
Yeah, and there's been this huge explosion of content on Instagram and Snapchat too, right?
Exactly. And it's not just the audience that's changing. He mentions brands have tripled their spending on social media since 2009. They're clearly following where the attention is.
So they're putting their money where their mouth is, basically.
Exactly. It's a massive opportunity for anyone building a personal brand. Think about it. Top YouTubers and Instagrammers are pulling in millions.
It's crazy. The earning potential is huge.
Vaynerchuk's point is it's not just about, endorsements, It's about building a brand that lets you turn your expertise into income in all sorts of ways.
I think that's what's so exciting about personal branding. You can build an empire online by sharing what you're passionate about. And Vaynerchuk gives some pretty compelling examples of entrepreneurs who've done exactly that, right?
Yeah. And the cool thing is these aren't all tech geniuses or social media gurus. He's got stories from people in all sorts of fields who've used his principles to succeed.
I'm always fascinated by those stories.
Take Louis Blaka, for instance. He's an art teacher who saw this trend of wine and paint classes. He finds his niche, uses social media to market directly to his people, and boom, he's hosting classes with hundreds of people, and he didn't spend anything on traditional advertising.
It's amazing how you can create something from scratch, build a loyal following just by being yourself and sharing your passion online. Vaynerchuk also talks about Amy Schmidhauer. She took a simple bridesmaid video and she turns it into a full-blown video marketing career. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade.
Totally.
She starts small, focuses on offering value, builds relationships, and now she's got a thriving business.
And then there's Alex Icon. He built a really successful clothing brand. But it wasn't just about the clothes, it was the whole customer experience.
That personal touch is everything.
He was writing handwritten letters, creating custom videos, adding unique touches to the packaging, going above and beyond to create a memorable brand.
It really makes a difference, especially in a world that's becoming so digital. Vaynerchuk also highlights Pat Flynn, the architect who loses his job and turns it into an opportunity by documenting his journey into online business. He really built a community by sharing his knowledge and turning a negative into a positive.
That's so inspiring. And then he features Rodrigo Tosca, a personal chef who ends up starting a video production business. What I love about all these stories is that Vaynerchuk shows how success isn't limited by your age, your background, or even your resources.
It really does come down to passion, hard work, and a willingness to take risks. Now, I know you're eager to get into the nitty-gritty of building a personal brand.
Yeah, let's get tactical.
But I want to dive a little deeper into Vaynerchuk's multi-platform approach first. It's one of the core concepts in Crushing It.
Absolutely. He's all about being everywhere your audience is. But he doesn't just say, be on every platform. He breaks it down strategically.
So he's clear that you need to tailor your approach to each platform.
Exactly. And he starts with Facebook, which might seem a bit surprising in today's social media landscape.
A little bit, yeah.
But he argues that even with the shifting demographics, Facebook is still crucial. It's your foundation, your content hub. He emphasizes the incredible flexibility it offers and the power of its ad platform.
He's pretty adamant about not dismissing Facebook, even with all the buzz about newer platforms.
Yeah, it's like the bedrock. Now, here's where it gets interesting. He then highlights Musical.ly, which is now TikTok.
Oh, wow.
I know, it might seem counterintuitive, especially if you're, not exactly in the Gen Z demographic.
That's what I was thinking.
But he makes a compelling case for it. He's not saying everyone needs to be, dancing on TikTok, but he's emphasizing the potential for reaching a younger audience and building that long-term brand awareness. those teenagers will grow up, and if you've been building that connection early on, you'll have a huge advantage. And he actually uses TikTok to share his business insights, setting his messages to popular music to make it resonate with that younger crowd.
That's a really good point. So Facebook is the foundation, TikTok for the long-term play. What's next?
He then moves to Snapchat, which he sees as the antidote to the perfectly curated world of Instagram. He positions it as a place for authenticity, unfiltered moments, connecting with your audience on a more personal level. It's about showing the real you, not just the polished highlight reel.
So it's about letting your guard down a bit and showing those raw behind-the-scenes moments that don't fit on other platforms.
Exactly. Then there's Twitter. He sees it as less about broadcasting and more about listening, reacting, and engaging in conversations, particularly within niche communities.
So Twitter is all about being a part of the conversation.
Exactly. It's about building relationships. And of course, he talks about YouTube. It's the mothership for vlogging, the ultimate platform for visual storytelling, for sharing your expertise, letting your personality shine.
It's so powerful.
And he emphasizes that it's a platform for experimentation. You can try different formats, different styles, and see what resonates. But the key is to be consistent, right? Whether you're posting daily, weekly, or monthly, show up regularly and deliver value to your viewers.
And what about those of us who aren't exactly comfortable being on camera? Vaynerchuk has some advice for us too, right?
He does. He talks about the power of podcasts, which offer this intimate, time-efficient way to connect with your audience. It's like having a conversation with them while they're driving, working out, or doing chores.
It's such a great medium for building relationships and sharing your knowledge.
And then he gets really futuristic, talking about voice-first platforms like Alexa and Google Assistant.
Yeah.
He sees this as the next frontier of personal branding, a chance to be part of people's daily routines, to be there when they're starting their day, commuting to work, or winding down at night.
That's kind of wild. It's like being woven into the fabric of their lives. So he's saying we need to be thinking about how to create content for these voice-first platforms now.
Absolutely. He thinks the early adopters will have a huge advantage. But the key is to think differently. It's not just about repurposing your existing content. It's about creating unique experiences that leverage the power of voice commands. Think about what information people need, what tasks they want to complete, and how you can help them do that through voice interaction.
So it's about being innovative and thinking outside the box. Now, I know you're probably eager to jump into the specific strategies for each platform, but before we do that, I want to address something I think our listener might be grappling with. All this talk about being on so many platforms can be overwhelming. How does Vaynerchuk suggest finding the time to manage all of this, especially if you're already juggling a job, family, other commitments?
That's a great question, and it's something Vaynerchuk addresses head-on. He acknowledges most people have a lot on their plate, but his advice is simple. Embrace the hustle.
He's known for that 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. grind philosophy, right?
Yeah, he talks about dedicating those early mornings and late nights to building your brand. But he's not suggesting you abandon your personal life or neglect your family. He actually encourages involving them in the process, making it a shared adventure. He gives examples like Rodrigo Tasca, who built his business with the help of his family, working from their home, and Jared Polin and Lauren Everts, who often feature their grandmothers in their content.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Integrating your entrepreneurial pursuits with your personal life when possible.
And remembering that even small steps, consistently applied over time, can lead to really significant results. You don't have to do everything at once. Just start somewhere, take action, and keep moving forward. Welcome back to your deep dive into crushing it. We've laid the groundwork, talked about the why of personal branding, and gotten a glimpse of those who've made it work. Now, let's get into the how, making these platforms work for you. You've got that fire, so let's refine your strategy.
Okay, so we talked about Vaynerchuk's big picture approach, his advice for each platform. But I'm curious, what actually makes a killer piece of content? Is there some secret formula?
Vaynerchuk is really clear that there's no one-size-fits-all approach. What wows people on Twitter, it might totally bomb on Instagram. You got to understand the nuances of each platform, how people are actually using them.
Okay, so let's break it down, platform by platform, starting with Facebook. It's our foundation, the content hub. But what kind of content works best there?
Vaynerchuk, he believes Facebook is all about variety. He suggests using it to share a whole range of content, text, photos, videos, even those long-form blog posts.
He really hammers home the flexibility of Facebook, right? You can basically throw anything at it and see what sticks.
He does, and he's right. Think of it as a way to showcase the different sides of you and your expertise. One day you might share a personal story that connects on a deeper level, and the next day you're posting a detailed tutorial. The key is to mix things up, keep your content fresh, cater to the different interests of your audience.
Okay, so Facebook is about diversity. Now let's move to TikTok. I'll be honest, I'm still wrapping my head around this one. How can someone who's not exactly a digital native, how can they use TikTok effectively?
Vaynerchuk's answer: don't be afraid to experiment. He actually uses himself as an example. He is in his 40s, and he's out there sharing his advice on TikTok, setting his messages to, popular music to connect with the younger audience. It shows you don't have to fit a stereotype to be successful on the platform.
That's encouraging. So what are some specific things to keep in mind when creating content for TikTok? Is it all about dancing and lip syncing?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be. The key is to stay on top of trends. Pay attention to what's popular, what hashtags are being used, what kind of content's resonating. Then find creative ways to participate in a way that feels authentic to you.
So be in tune with the culture, but don't force it.
Right. And remember, make it fun. TikTok is all about entertainment. Let loose, be creative, and don't take yourself too seriously. People can tell when you're not having fun, and it shows.
Got it. Have fun, be yourself, stay on top of trends. Okay, we've covered Facebook, TikTok. Now let's move on to Snapchat. It's known for its raw, unfiltered content. But how can we create content that stands out without, feeling like we're oversharing?
Vaynerchuk's advice for Snapchat is to embrace authenticity. He sees it as a platform where you can break away from, the perfectly curated world of Instagram, connect with your audience on a more personal level. It's about showing the real you, the behind-the-scenes moments, the everyday stuff that might not make it to your other platforms.
So it's about those real-life glimpses into your day-to-day, even if they're not, perfectly polished?
Exactly. And he encourages using Snapchat's creative tools, the filters, lenses, doodles, to add personality and visual interest to your content. It's a platform where you can really let your creativity shine, connect with your audience in a fun, lighthearted way.
So embrace the playful side, make it visually engaging. Now, what about the temporary nature of Snapchat content? Doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of building a lasting brand?
That's a valid concern. But Vaynerchuk has a strategy for that too. He suggests using Snapchat as a teaser, a way to pique your audience's curiosity and encourage them to check out your more permanent content on your other platforms.
So it's a sneak peek, a way to entice your audience to learn more. Okay, now let's move on to Twitter. It can feel like a bit of a shouting match sometimes, so how do we create content that cuts through the noise and actually engages people?
Vaynerchuk's key to Twitter's success is simple: be a good listener. Pay attention to what people are talking about, what hashtags are trending, what conversations are happening in your niche. Then find ways to contribute in a meaningful way.
So it's not just about blasting out your own message, it's about becoming a part of the community, engaging in genuine dialogue.
Exactly. And even though Twitter is primarily text-based, he still highlights the importance of using visuals. Images and videos can make your content stand out in a crowded feed.
So even a simple image or a short video clip can make a big difference.
And don't forget about the power of the retweet. If you create something that resonates, it can get shared far and wide, amplifying your reach and your impact.
Okay, we've covered Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitter. Now let's talk about YouTube. Vaynerchuk calls it the mothership for vlogging, and I can see why. What makes YouTube content so powerful, in your opinion?
I think it's the combination of visuals and searchability. Unlike other platforms where content gets lost in the feed, YouTube videos can be easily discovered through search. This means you can reach a wider audience, even people who don't already follow you.
So it's a great platform for expanding your reach and building a library of content that can attract viewers over time.
Exactly. And because it's visual, it lets you showcase your personality, connect with your audience on a deeper level. People feel like they're getting to know you, which builds trust and loyalty.
So when creating content for YouTube, what are some things to keep in mind? Is it all about production value and fancy editing?
Vaynerchuk actually emphasizes authenticity over production value. He says people can spot a fake a mile away. Be yourself, let your personality shine through, and focus on creating content that genuinely provides value.
So be real, be helpful, connect with your audience on a human level.
Exactly. And he also stresses the importance of consistency. Whether you're releasing videos daily, weekly, or monthly, show up consistently for your audience. They'll come to expect your content, appreciate your commitment.
That's a great point. Consistency builds trust, helps you stay top of mind. Now, what about podcasts? They're so popular these days. How can we create podcasts that stand out in a crowded market?
Vaynerchuk's philosophy for podcasts is similar to his approach to YouTube. Authenticity is key. Be yourself, share your passions, and connect with your audience on a genuine level.
So just like with YouTube, it's about letting your personality shine through and creating a real connection.
Exactly. He also encourages podcasters to focus on providing value. Think about their pain points, what they're struggling with, how you can help. What unique knowledge or insights can you offer to make their lives better?
It's about being helpful, informative, engaging, and being a good listener. Pay attention to your audience's feedback, answer their questions, address their concerns.
Right. Podcasting is a two-way street. It's about building relationships, creating community.
It's not just about broadcasting your message. It's about fostering that dialogue, making your listeners feel like they're a part of something.
Now, let's dive into voice-first platforms like Alexa and Google Assistant. These are still pretty new, so what are Vaynerchuk's insights for creating engaging content on these platforms?
It's a whole new world, and I'll admit, it's a little intimidating. It seems so different from anything else we've talked about.
Vaynerchuk sees these platforms as a huge opportunity, but he stresses that we need to think differently about content creation. It's not just about repurposing your existing content. It's about creating unique experiences that leverage voice commands. He calls it micro content.
Yeah.
Short, bite-sized pieces of information or entertainment that provide value.
So it's about delivering information in a concise and engaging way, understanding that people are often multitasking. They might be cooking, driving, working out while they're listening.
Exactly. And he encourages entrepreneurs to be innovative, think outside the box, explore the possibilities. What kind of unique and valuable experiences can you create using voice commands?
So be creative and find ways to leverage the unique capabilities of these platforms to deliver value. Now, how do we make sure people can actually find our content on these voice-first platforms? It seems like discoverability could be a challenge.
That's a great point. Vaynerchuk stresses the importance of using clear and relevant keywords, promoting your skills and flash briefings on your other platforms, and making it easy for people to find and use your content. Think about the words people are likely to use when they're searching for information or entertainment related to your niche.
So it's not enough to just create great content. You need to make sure it's optimized for discoverability and that you're actively promoting it.
Exactly. And he believes these platforms are still in their early stages, which means there's a huge opportunity for those who are willing to experiment, to innovate, to get in early.
So be a pioneer, try new things, and see what works. Now, I'm curious, as we've been unpacking all these platform-specific strategies, what's resonating with you the most? Is there a common thread that runs through all of Vaynerchuk's advice?
What strikes me is his emphasis on adaptability. The world of technology and social media, it's constantly changing. New platforms emerge all the time, existing platforms evolve. The key to success is being willing to learn, experiment, and adapt to this ever-changing landscape.
I love that. It's not about mastering one platform or one strategy. It's about being a lifelong learner, staying curious, and always being willing to try new things.
Absolutely. It highlights the importance of embracing change and seeing it as an opportunity for growth.
Now let's shift gears a bit and delve into some of the inspiring stories Vaynerchuk shares of entrepreneurs who have used his principles to achieve success. These are the folks who took his advice, put in the work, and truly crushed it.
These stories are so motivating. They show it's possible to achieve your dreams no matter what your background or experience level may be.
Let's start with Amy Schmittauer. Remember, she's the one who turned a simple bridesmaid video into a thriving video marketing career. It's amazing how she took something so ordinary and turned it into something extraordinary. What do you find most inspiring about her story?
It's a testament to the power of passion, hard work, and a willingness to learn. She started small, offering her services for free to gain experience, and gradually built a reputation for quality. She was willing to put in the time and effort to, learn the ropes, hone her craft.
She really embodied that hustle mentality, didn't she? Working late nights, building relationships, putting herself out there, and constantly learning.
She did. And her story also highlights the importance of creating valuable content that helps others. That's how she built trust and attracted clients. She wasn't just promoting herself, she was genuinely trying to make a difference.
So it's not just about building a brand, it's about building a legacy. Now, how about Alex Icon, the entrepreneur who built a successful clothing brand by focusing on customer experience? What makes his story so unique?
It's a great example of how to differentiate yourself in a crowded market. Alex went above and beyond to create a memorable brand experience. He focused on those personal touches, like handwritten letters, custom videos, unique packaging that made his customers feel valued.
He really understood the power of human connection, right?
Hmm.
In a world that's becoming increasingly digital, those personal touches make a huge difference. They show you care, that you're not just treating your customers like transactions.
He knew people crave that connection and authenticity, and he was willing to go the extra mile to create that experience. It wasn't just about selling clothes, it was about building relationships.
His story is a great reminder that in business, people remember how you make them feel. Now, how about Pat Flynn? He's the architect who turned his journey into online business, into a platform for helping others. His story really resonates with me. It's a powerful example of turning a setback into an opportunity.
It really is. Pat was laid off from his job, but instead of getting discouraged, he saw it as a chance to pursue his passion. He took a leap of faith, and it paid off in ways he could never have imagined.
And he was so transparent about his journey, wasn't he? He documented his successes and failures, sharing his knowledge with others.
He was. He was willing to be vulnerable, to share his struggles and his triumphs, and that's what resonated with his audience. People saw themselves in his story, and they were inspired by his authenticity and his willingness to help.
It's a great reminder that we don't have to pretend to have all the answers. It's okay to be real, to share our experiences, and help others along the way. Now, how about the story of Rodrigo Tosca, the personal chef who pivoted to a video production business? What can we learn from his experience?
His story highlights the importance of adapting to different markets. He started out in New York, offering a very specific service, but when he moved to Florida, he realized that the market was different and he had to adjust his approach.
I love how he didn't just try to force his old business model into a new market. He was willing to adapt, to learn new skills, to evolve his business to meet the needs of his new audience.
He was, and he was also willing to go above and beyond to help his clients succeed. He even started teaching them about marketing, even though it wasn't technically part of his services.
So it's about being a true partner, a trusted advisor, going the extra mile to help your clients achieve their goals, adding value beyond what's expected.
Exactly. Now, as we wrap up this section on success stories, what stands out to you as the most important takeaway from all these stories?
For me, it's the power of passion and perseverance. These entrepreneurs all faced challenges, setbacks, moments of doubt. But they were driven by their passions, they were willing to put in the work, and they never gave up on their dreams. Welcome back. We're in the final stretch of our deep dive into Gary Vaynerchuk's Crushing It. We've explored the platforms, we've broken down the strategies, and we've drawn inspiration from those who've made it big. Now let's talk about the heart of it all, your mindset.
You're so right. You can have all the tools and tactics in the world, but if you don't have the right mindset, you won't get very far.
It's like having a Ferrari but not knowing how to drive.
Exactly. And Vaynerchuk, he's a big believer in self-awareness as the starting point, like really understanding yourself.
So it's not just about diving into the hustle, it's about taking a step back and kind of figuring out who you are first.
He's all about that honest self-inventory. Figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are, what really lights your fire, what your core values are. Don't try to be somebody you're not.
I think that's so important, especially in the world of social media where it's easy to compare yourself to others and get caught up in trying to fit in. But Vaynerchuk's saying, embrace what makes you unique. Your quirks, your flaws, your perspective, that's what helps you stand out.
Authenticity is key, for sure. Once you have a solid grasp of who you are, then you can start setting clear, specific goals. He's a big believer in the power of goals to keep you motivated and provide direction.
Right, because it's not enough to just say, I want to be successful. You have to define what success means for you and set tangible goals that will get you there.
Exactly. He also emphasizes breaking down those big, ambitious goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
Makes them less intimidating, right?
Oh, it's like you're creating a roadmap so you don't get overwhelmed and can track your progress along the way.
Okay, so we've got self-awareness, goal setting, but even with the best intentions, we're going to hit bumps in the road. How does Vaynerchuk suggest dealing with those challenges and moments of doubt?
He actually encourages people to reframe how they think about setbacks. Like instead of seeing them as failures, see them as opportunities to learn and grow.
It's all part of the process.
Exactly. Vaynerchuk believes that resilience is key. Don't let setbacks define you or derail you from your goals.
So how do we stay motivated? How do we avoid burnout, especially when we're in the thick of things and the hustle is real?
Vaynerchuk's advice here is simple but powerful. Tap into your passions, Do what you love, what gets you excited, what makes you jump out of bed in the morning.
So find that sweet spot where your work and your passions align. If you're not enjoying the ride, it's going to be hard to stay motivated.
Absolutely. He's all about finding joy in the process. And he also says, don't be afraid to take breaks. Recharge. Prioritize self-care.
Yeah, burnout is a real thing, and it's so important to pace yourself. Now, I want to touch on something else, which is self-belief. It's easy to doubt ourselves, especially when we're facing obstacles or comparing ourselves to others. How do we cultivate that unwavering belief?
He tells people to focus on their past successes. Take some time to reflect on what you've already accomplished, the challenges you've overcome. Those wins can fuel your self-belief, remind you of what you're capable of.
It's like giving ourselves that pep talk. Hey, we've done hard things before, we can do them again.
He also emphasizes surrounding yourself with positive people. Those cheerleaders, the ones who believe in you and your vision, who lift you up when you're feeling down.
It makes a huge difference having that support system, those people who remind you of your potential, even when you can't see it yourself.
And he stresses taking action. The more you do, the more you prove to yourself that you can do it. Action breeds confidence.
It's a cycle, right? The more we achieve, the more we believe, the more motivated we are to keep pushing. Now, before we wrap up, I want to highlight one of Vaynerchuk's core beliefs that I think is super inspiring, the importance of giving back. He says, success is meaningless if you don't use it to make a positive impact on the world.
I love that. It's not just about personal gain. It's about using what you've built to make a difference.
So how do we incorporate that into our work?
He encourages us to look for ways to use our skills, our platform, our influence to help others. It doesn't have to be something huge. Maybe you share helpful content or mentor someone or donate to a cause you care about.
It's about being mindful of the impact we're making and finding those opportunities to give back.
Exactly. It's about more than just ourselves.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive into Gary Vaynerchuk's Crushing It. We covered a lot, from the why of personal branding to practical strategies for crushing those platforms. We heard from those who've walked the walk and got some real mindset gems from Gary V himself. I hope you walked away with some nuggets that'll help you on your own journey. Thanks for joining us.